What's going on, everybody? Thank y'all. Welcome to the debut episode of 4th and 25, a new show here on College Sports Villains Network. First off, before I get started, thank you to Andrew and this network for taking me in. Thank you so much for giving me this chance and bringing a show here. Andrew's been on me for about a year or so about trying to get on here. He's chased me, so I said, "All right, let's do it." So, thank y'all for checking in. I'm mainly a college football centric show. We will talk some NFL down the road, but yeah, college football is a huge passion of mine. Been a huge fan since the beginning, and just decided to come out and talk and share with y'all my thoughts and intake on the whole on the sport. All right, so to start off, we're going to talk about Nico and what happened with the Nico situation. As y'all know, unless you've been living under a rock, last Friday, Nico, I'm gonna leave you as I call him. I don't know how you say his last name. I'm not going to butcher it. Um, Nico was the quarterback at Tennessee. Well, last Friday, he decided to hold out and for more NIL money. Literally the day before the spring game, and his representatives, if that's what you want to call them, and it sounds like his dad was included, were trying to get him more money, roughly about $4 million a year. And I believe he was making 2.4 million or so a year at Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Tennessee decided no, they did not budge. They kept their foot down. Josh Heupel did the same thing, and they couldn't reach an agreement, so they moved on. Nico didn't get what he wanted, so he moved on. And from the looks of it, is off to UCLA. And more on that in a minute. But it was a really, really tough situation. I'm going to tell you, be honest with you, I kind of looked at it as an embarrassment to Tennessee, to college football, to everybody involved. There was no winners in this. I know some Tennessee fans will say, yeah, we won, we won. Yeah, you did the right thing, in my opinion. I think you did a perfect thing. You did the best thing you could do. But now you go into the 2025 year without an experienced quarterback. But with the spring portal open and everything, I mean, obviously they're probably going to shop for one, might even pull one in. But you have your backups who don't have a whole lot of experience. So it turned out to be a pretty rough situation, to be honest with you. And it was bad. It kind of exposed a problem that this sport has right now in college football with this NIL situation. The NIL was not intended to be like this, but it's turned into the Wild West. The problem ain't these kids seeking better opportunities, in my opinion. The problem is now they're entitled. They think they're entitled to get all this money, but they've got representatives in their ear trying to get as much as they can for themselves. And to me, if that makes any sense, that's kind of the inner issues of this and where it's going. But with that said, Nico's off to UCLA and reportedly is only going to make 1.75, I believe. I believe 1.7 million a year, and he took a pay cut. So to be honest with you, he took a pay cut from what he was making in Knoxville, and he's also going to be playing in front of lesser people because if you watched a UCLA game, there's never hardly a full stadium, a full crowd at the Rose Bowl when they're playing. So you give up 2.4 million a year for about 1.75. You go from playing from Neyland Stadium that's usually full to partial crowds at the Rose Bowl. So, and plus California is obviously going to tax him. So just a kind of a downgrade, but let it be a life lesson for Nico that grass ain't always greener on the other side. So, but I wish the kid well. I hope things get better for him, but he learned the hard way, and he can thank his team, who of course then gonna come out and say it wasn't about the money. You can take that lie somewhere else if you want my honest opinion. We know it was about the money, point blank. All right, so with that said, we're going to transition on and get out of that subject. We're going to transition on to the spring portal window. As you guys know, the spring transfer portal opened a couple of days ago. And good grief, did it explode. There was probably, I think the first day, if I remember reading it correctly, there were 700 FBS players in it and like 400 FCS players. And then as of yesterday, there was like over 2,100 total players in the spring portal window. It's crazy. All the kids that are in the transfer portal. So, and with that said, I am going to pull this up real quick. We'll talk about a few of these guys. We're not, of course, we ain't got a lot of time, so we're not going to go through all of them because there's thousands of them. But with that said, I'm going to use the ESPN portal rankings. Here we go. Okay. So obviously Nico is your number one prospect. Looks like he's going to UCLA. Some other guys that have jumped in this thing that are highly sought after. David Bailey, outside linebacker from Stanford. He went to Texas Tech. Texas Tech, by the way, number one portal class as of right now. Texas Tech is loaded up with portal players. David was a freshman All-American at Stanford, and now he's off to play for the Red Raiders. If you haven't followed Stanford football, and I know a lot of people don't, but Stanford fired their coach in the spring. Not exactly sure what all was going on there, but he was fired. Some other guys. Cal running back Jade Knott, 2022 freshman All-American. He was an All Pac-12 player in 2023, I believe. He jumped in. He's gone to Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, in the first portal window, added the talented Wazoo quarterback, John Mateer. OU building them up an offense for this fall, so keep an eye on the Sooners. But great get for them. You got a defensive end, Bo Atkins from North Carolina. He's in the portal. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. He is, many people looking at as a future NFL draft pick. It's my understanding this weekend he had visits lined up with Georgia and Ohio State, who both need help on the defensive line. So let's see. The top FCS player, offensive tackle Joe Cotton out of South Dakota, he's in the portal. Wisconsin, Cincinnati, a couple of schools to keep an eye on for him. And then Gio Lopez, who was a phenomenal G5 quarterback last year at South Alabama. He threw for 25-59, run for 463, 25 total touchdowns. He jumped in the portal from South Alabama. Well, the news broke Thursday night. He's off to North Carolina with Bill Belichick. And by the way, North Carolina guys had 11 players jump in this thing. 11. That's crazy. It's my understanding Kentucky had double digits too, but I don't know that number. Some other guys. Trevor Pina, hope I said his name right, wide receiver from Syracuse. He was a all-ACC performer last year. He jumped in the portal with 1 year of eligibility left. The story about him, this is another interesting one. Fran Brown, a rising star in the coaching ranks, in my humble opinion, talked about this. Trevor came to him wanting more monies, and also something you probably have not heard much of with college football players. Trevor wanted more intel. He wanted more info about the schemes they were running, things going on in the coaching meetings, things unheard of that a college player doesn't need, man. And Fran said no. And he didn't, I guess, think he was worth the money he was wanting either. But so Trevor Pina's in the portal. A few other ones. Linebacker Elo Maduzzi, I hope I said it right, from Army. This guy was a all ACC third teamer last year. Had 28 pressures off the edge, 34 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks. Florida native. He's got some Power 4 interest. Don't know where he's going, but he's got a lot of interest, the word around town is. Defensive end TJ Bush, junior from Liberty, all Conference USA second teamer in the past. Here's a good one. Guard Xavier Hill. He's from Memphis. He's going to Colorado to play for Coach Prime in his final year. An all-conference performer for the Tigers. That's one. That's a good one. Here's one I'm interested to see is Micah Hudson. He was a 5-star recruit, the highest-ranked signee in the history of Texas Tech football. Well, he jumped in the portal and went to Texas A&M. this offseason, but left the program as soon after he arrived, and now he's back in the portal, leaving A&M. Don't know what happened there. I guess there's stories, but anyway. So Micah Hudson from A&M, now he's looking for a new home. Here's a tight end that kind of caught some attention, Tanner Kazol. I hope I didn't butcher that young man's name. He was at Ball State. He was a second team All MAC player, and then he transferred to Wisconsin. Well, he jumped back in the portal, and now he's off to Houston. Wow, okay. Nice pickup for Willie Fritz's crew. And a few more. Wide receiver Sincere Brown, another FCS player. He was an all-CAA performer at Campbell University, the Fighting Camels. He's going to Colorado. He's got a year of eligibility left. He's going to join Coach Prime in the Buffs. Let's see. Oh, and I want to talk about this one real quick. Emmett Mosley V, Stanford player, another Stanford kid, wide receiver. He decided to explore his options. He finished strong. He had two 100-yard games this past November. He was their number 2 receiver, 48 catches, 525, 6 touchdowns, and broke multiple single-game records, and including their upset win of Louisville this past year. I don't know if you guys seen it, but this cat had 13 catches, 168, and 3 touchdowns against Louisville. That's kind of where I first caught an eye on him. But he's transferred. He's left Stanford. Guess where he's going? He's off to Texas. Another toy for Arch Manning and Coach Sark. Let's see. A couple more we'll just make note of. The very first player back in before the portal opened this spring, Drew Pine. He was a quarterback. I hope I said his last name right. I'm bad with names. He was at Notre Dame for a while, went to Missouri. He left Missouri. He's at Bowling Green now to play for their new head coach, Eddie George. Let's see. Wendell Gregory, another good defensive end. He was from South Carolina. He transferred to Oklahoma State. He's number 19 on these rankings. Steve Angeli, quarterback of Notre Dame. I wanted to mention this kid. If you remember this kid, he came in for Riley Leonard last year when he was injured in the Orange Bowl in the semifinal. He came in, took over, and led the Irish to the win to get him to the national championship game. His kind of breakout was in 2023 when he was the starter in their Sun Bowl win over Oregon State. Talented QB. I think he's going to land somewhere and be a good starter for him. We'll see where he goes. But this young man really came on the scene last year. And let's see. We'll see if we can find a couple more we'll talk about. A couple of Boise State players in the portal. Linebacker Andrew Simpson, defensive tackle Braxton Felly. They both got a year of eligibility left. So, but yeah, portal's on fire, guys. There are so many players in it right now. Looking to find homes. Will they all? I don't know. We shall see. And I wanted to make note. I am an Ole Miss fan, as you can tell, but I wanted to make note real quick and tell you about a couple of Ole Miss pickups. Let's see. Let me pull them up here real quick. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. Thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate all the views. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Find it real quick. Let's see. Well, I had it up. Ole Miss picked up a really talented quarterback from Division II Ferris State. He was an All-American at Ferris State and put up great numbers. I don't remember how you pronounce his name, though. Let me see real quick. I'll try to get his name up real quick. Let's see. Ole Miss football. Service is a little slow. My apologies. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. Ferris State quarterback Trinidad Chambliss. I hope I said his name right. He led Ferris State to the 2025 D2 National Championship. He put up really, really good numbers. He's on his way to Oxford. Very excited to see what happens there. I mean, I don't think he's going to be the starter. I think Austin Simmons is still the guy, but we shall see how that goes. All right, so I'm going to take a quick break, real quick, and we'll be right back. I'm going to play this video real quick. We're going to take a quick break. If you need a good tattoo and you're in the South Carolina area, this is your guy from what I understand. All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so just to kind of close real quick on the spring portal, so many players in it, and it's going to be interesting to see where this all ends up once it's over with as far as portal classes. The last time I checked, if my understanding, it was Texas Tech was the number one portal class, LSU was number two, and Ole Miss was number three. Oh, and speaking of which, here we go. Former North Carolina quarterback Ryan Brown has decided to transfer back to Purdue. Okay, so Barry Odom gets him a quarterback in the portal. All right, as they begin the Barry Odom era at Purdue. All right, so we're going to transition to what was originally the main topic for this show today, and that is the college football playoff. So, as you know, just to kind of give you a refresh, we have a 12-team format this past season and this year. 5 highest-ranked champions get in, 7 at-large bids. The way it works, and then the 4 highest-ranked champions got bye weeks, got the byes. This is where the issue first kicked up. This is where the first little bit of the hornet's nest got stirred. You had Oregon and Georgia, who were 1 and 2. They got byes, well deserved, no problem. But the 3rd and 4th seeded teams who got byes were the Boise State Broncos of the Mountain West and then Arizona State of the Big 12. They won their conferences. They did what they had to do. They used the system like it was intended, like it was supposed to be. But the problem was that kind of really started the uproar and the ruckus was Boise State was like number 9 in the final poll. And then Arizona State was not even in the top 10, but they got byes because they were conference champions. So that's kind of where it started. And then, Oregon being the number 1 seed had the toughest draw of it all because they ended up playing the buzzsaw that was Ohio State, who went on to win the national championship. So that was where the uproar started. Well, back earlier this month, Miss Heather Dinage of ESPN, who does a wonderful job covering the sport, I think she's awesome at covering college ball, she broke the news that the college football playoff leaders were meeting in Dallas and to discuss this thing about possible changes and all that other good stuff. Well, in her article, there was a strong desire to move to a straight seeding format. So, some of you might say, well, what's that? Well, a straight seeding format, you would still give your 5 highest ranked champions bids, but the top 4 in the rankings would get the byes, whether you win your conference or not. So, to kind of give you an idea of what this format would look like, Andrew helped me out and got me a graphic done. And just to kind of refresh, if you remember how this looked last year, you had Oregon 1, Georgia 2, Boise 3, Arizona State 4. The 9-8 winner, which was Ohio State, Tennessee, played Oregon. Georgia got the winner of the Notre Dame, Indiana game, which was the 10-7 game. And then Boise got the winner of the 11-6 matchup, which was SMU and Penn State. Ooh, that was a cold game. And then Arizona State got the winner of the 5-12 matchup, which was Texas and Clemson. So, using that playoff rankings, This is a graphic to give you an idea of what the playoff would have looked like under the new proposed straight seeding format. So here you go, right here. This is how the playoff would have looked last year with the straight seeding concept. You've got Oregon down here as the number 1 seed, Georgia is the number 2 seed, Texas would have been the 3 seed, and Penn State would have been your 4 seed. That would have been your bias. So 2 SEC, 2 Big Ten. And then the way your first round would have went, the Oregon would have got the winner of the 9-8 matchup, which would have been Boise State and Indiana. Not going to lie, that would have been a pretty interesting game, I think, to see between those two teams. And then Georgia, moving up here to the 2 seed, they would have played the 10-7 winner, which would have been SMU or Tennessee. Not saying SMU would have beat Tennessee or anything. We're just being hypothetical here. But I would have liked seeing that game. I think just imagine a Georgia-Tennessee quarterfinal. That could have been interesting. Texas, the 3 seed, they would have played the 11-6 winner, which would have been Arizona State and Ohio State. Cam Scatterboo against the Buckeyes defense. That could have been fun. Probably would have still got your Texas-Ohio State game, but who knows? Who knows? All right. And then finally, Penn State, the 4 seed, they would have got the 12-5 winner, which would have been Notre Dame or Clemson. Still could have got a Penn State-Notre Dame matchup. It would have just been in the quarters instead of the semis. So this is just an idea of what it would be like with the straight seeding format. My thoughts on this, I like it. I like this format. I think this would be a big step in the right direction because you got some out there who just think it should be the 12 best teams. And I understand that. I completely understand that. But I also think in this time, we should still honor a championship. If you win your conference, heck yeah, man. If you win your conference, you deserve I think you deserve a ticket to the dance. I mean, I'm not saying give you an automatic buy or anything, but they deserve a chance. They should get in. If you win your conference, you should be in. Or if we head to an era where there's not conference championships anymore, first place team gets a bid. So, real quick, I'm gonna show that graphic one more time. Yeah, and think about this: if you would have had this format last season, think about this: you could have had potentially quarterfinals of Ohio State, Texas. You could have had the Notre Dame Penn State game. Just for example, you could have had Tennessee and Georgia, and then Oregon could have gotten Indiana or Boise State. So Oregon would have come out a big winner in this. Oregon wouldn't have had as near the tough to draw as they did this past season. But anyway, so that's what this is an idea of what it would look like. Now, as far as the concept, there was nothing agreed upon on those meetings. So here's some thoughts and some questions. If you're the G5, if you're the ACC, if you're the Big 12, do you give in and go to this straight seeding format? Or do you fight it and keep what you've got for one more year so your champion has a great chance to get a bye? Ooh, my hair's a mess. But do you fight to get your champion a bye for one more year? Or do you agree to this new format? Because I don't know how many of y'all know this, but as you know, this thing is changing in 2026. The SEC and the Big Ten are going to have majority control, revenue. They're going to have a say. They're going to have the final say on everything next year. They don't have to get approval from these other leagues. Right now, for this 2025 format, you have to get a unanimous decision. Everybody has to agree to it. That ain't going to have to be the case next year. So, and say those leagues fight back. Well, the SEC and the Big Ten could look at each other and say, "That's okay. We'll do it. We'll do it your way for one more year. But next year we do it our way." And I don't like that, but you get my point. So that transitions us to my next topic on this. Where's this thing going down the road? I'm nervous about where this playoff's going because, like I say, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to have majority control, majority of the revenue. They can do what they want, basically. So the one format that has been proposed for 2026 and beyond is a straight seating concept, but there are numerous auto bids, and it's 14 teams. So the concept was, hear me out, 4 SEC bids, 4 Big 10 bids, 2 ACC bids, and 2 from the Big 12. And then you would have one bid for the G5 leagues. You would have a bid for Notre Dame or the highest ranked at large team if Notre Dame has a down season. So my thoughts on all those auto bids, I'm not a fan. Personally, I don't like that. To me, a playoff just needs to be the best teams. It does not need to be some kind of invitational where numerous leagues are getting to flex their muscle because they've got so many brands. So, not a big fan of that. I hope cooler heads prevail and they will come up with a better format for that because right now we still have no clue what's coming in 2026. So, enjoy 2025 because Lord knows what this thing's going to look like in the future. But, and I leave you with this, and I don't mean to scare nobody, but the Big 12, the ACC, and those other leagues have already came out and kind of hinted that they're against that proposed format of 14 with all the auto bids for the Power 2 leagues. If they disagree and complain and fight back and say they don't want it, well, the SEC and the Big 10 have all the stroke here. They can look at each other and say, that's fine. We'll go do our own thing. Because let's be real, and I hope I'm wrong when I say this, but I'm just going to say it. Part of me thinks the SEC and the Big 10 want to break off on their own anyway and do an AFC, NFC style format for college ball, which I don't like. I don't want to see 2 leagues, then add a couple more schools and take 40 teams and go off and do their own thing and leave all these other schools behind. But we'll see. With that said, real quick, the G5 schools, let's talk about that real quick. I have for years, and those who know me well enough will tell you, am a fan of the G5 football leagues, the Mountain West, Sun Belt, the Conference USA, the MAC, the American. And here soon it's going to be the group of 6 when the Pac-12 comes back next year, assuming they get an 8th member. I think they should have their own playoff. I think there should be we'll just go ahead and call it G6. There needs to be a G6 playoff where those leagues crown their own national champion, and then the Power 4 plus Notre Dame can go do that, have their playoff and have their own championship. I just think it would be much better for those smaller schools, and those schools already deal with enough with the portal, coaching changes every year. They get gutted. It's insane, man. So, but anyway, thing is, where is the playoff going? Who knows? But I hope they do adapt the straight seating model for this fall at least. So it'll be fun to watch. Okay, so we're going to transition to our next subject, and one that the news just broke. I believe it was Thursday or Friday. Yeah, I think it was Thursday. As you probably know by now, ESPN legend Lee Corso is retiring after the Week 1 College Game Day special, the opening week kickoff show on College Game Day. After 30 plus years, I believe it was 38, and it's going to be I'm sure it's going to be a very emotional day, an emotional episode. For all of you that grew up with this sport like I did, this man was part of our childhood. I got this graphic up. Hopefully I got it up and y'all can see it. This man has been a huge part of my childhood growing up. Every Saturday in the fall during the season, could not wait to watch this show and see what headgear he was going to put on. I might get a little emotional talking about it just because love for the sport and love for the show. But Lee was he has been a great ambassador for college football, a great face for the sport, but he brought so much fun to this show. All the great moments, whether he put on the Oregon duck head and was dancing with the duck or riding the motorcycle with the duck. Or another one of my favorites when they were at the Florida State Clemson game years ago at Clemson, he come on stage dressed as the Chief, and he had the spear and the wig and was doing the dance. That was pretty cool. Bill Murray, the guest picker, kind of took him down like a tackle almost. It was pretty funny. But and then of course the famous F bomb during the show when they were in Houston. It was for the SMU Houston game that weekend, and he dropped the F bomb. And I'll never forget when he said it. Kirk Herbstreit's face was so priceless. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you need a good want to laugh, go find it. It is I'm sure it's all over YouTube and it's all over the ESPN College Game Day Facebook accounts and stuff. But it is so funny. Herbstreit's facial reaction. Chris Fowler like drops his head on the table. It's just so funny. Great classic moment. All the great animals he's picked up when he's picked these games, like the baby gator at Florida, all the bulldogs he's had over the years, like Uga, um, putting on Bevo's head, of course Brutus the Buckeye, and it's been an incredible ride to watch. And I remember when College Game Day came to Oxford for the first time. I think it was 2014. It was the Ole Miss Bama game, and he put on the elephant head, and Katy Perry about broke his nose. It seemed like trying to take the elephant head off and throw it. It was pretty hilarious. Um, but yeah, just so many great memories. And Lee Corso was one of the first people who got me into college football because I seen him on TV acting crazy at one of these shows. And Coach Corso, congratulations on a wonderful career. Wish you a great retirement. And I don't care if I only have 1 hour of sleep. I will be watching that episode to see you for the final time. So, congratulations to Lee. And what a career. Just, man, it's definitely not going to be the same without him on the show. But we'll see where they go from there. Maybe Pat McAfee will jump in there. Who knows? All right. So, I said before the end of each show we would have a non-football topic, but I am going to change this. I'm going to change this from what I had in mind to something else. I would be crazy to not mention WrestleMania because I'm a WWE guy. I grew up was a wrestling fan, like so many of you did. Um, Looking forward to WrestleMania night 1 tonight, night 2 tomorrow. Um, Jey Uso and Gunther World Heavyweight Title match. Cannot wait for that match. Keeping my fingers crossed that Jay gets his moment and wins. I hope he does. But I also understand if they want to keep pushing Gunther as a dominant world champion. But I love Jay. I love his energy. I love how he gets the crowd into it. Such a cool dude. I hope he wins. And then, of course, appreciate you, Adrian. Thank you, buddy. Um, and then, of course, the triple threat match: Roman, Seth, Punk. I call it the I call it the Paul Heyman love triangle. But don't know where they're going to go with that match. My soon-to-be wife loves Roman Reigns. I like Roman too. I grew up a fan of Punk's. Seth is incredible talent too, so it's going to be a good match. I don't know what direction they're going to go. We'll be interested to see. I don't predict WWE matches because half the time I fail miserably. But oh, LA Knight, Jacob Fatu U.S. title match. I love LA Knight. I'm going to have my LA Knight shirt on probably tonight for Mania. And Jacob Fatu, I'm blown away at how good he moves for a big man in a ring. He does a wonderful job. Um, that's going to be a good match. I don't know where they're going to go with that, but we shall see. And then, of course, night 2. I'm interested in the Intercontinental title match. Braun Breaker, Penta, Dominic, and Finn Balor, the Fatal 4-Way. I love Braun Breaker. Love his intensity he brings to the ring. Young man is a great athlete. It works in the gene pool just like his daddy Rick and Uncle Scott Steiner. Awesome talent. And I love Penta too. I think he's pretty cool. And then, of course, Cena and Cody, WWE title match. We'll be very interested to see where they go with that match. And I don't know. Does Cena break the record, or does Cody retain, or does Cody lose? I don't know what direction you go with that. That'll be interesting. Oh, Randy Orton, who's he gonna face? He will be there. He needs an opponent. Is Kevin Owens fooling us with this neck injury? I hope not. But Is Owens fooling us? Is there a return we don't know about? Alistair Black? Just saying. Nick Aldis, does he actually get in the ring? Would not be mad at that. So, looking forward to it. Going to be a fun weekend. Um, and I am going to just go ahead and discuss this real quick. I know it's in the notes. For randomness, what are your favorite seasons? You know, we have the 4 meteorological seasons here in the world. You have your winter, you have your spring, your summer, and your fall. What are your favorite times of year? What is your least favorite? So I took the 4 seasons and I ranked them 1 through 4. All right, so number 4, for me personally, is summer. I'm not a fan of heat, humidity, bugs, and that's probably sounds crazy coming from the guy who lives in Mississippi. But I'm from here. I grew up here, and the soon-to-be wife, she will not leave, so I'm not going without her. So that's why I stay here as much as I can. Oh, speaking of which, there's the WrestleMania graphic right there. Very, very nice at Allegiant Stadium tonight, home of the Raiders. I see. There's Andrew. Man, yeah, gonna be fun. Number 3 is spring. Spring is number 3 because the cool mornings, of course, are cool. But then you have those days where it may not be so hot, but it will be kind of warm, and the bugs will start coming out. That's the bad part of it. It is storm season, a lot of tornadoes. Weather can be crazy intense, and you could still have your occasional cold spurts. You never know. But spring's okay. But it's number 3. Number 2 is winter. Now, that's probably going to shock some people because people know I like cold. I love snow. I don't like ice because of ice storms. I've been through a few of them. But winter, it's cold. But Christmas, New Year's, college football postseason, it's still a great time. And number 1, Andrew just mentioned it in the comment, is the fall. I love fall. When the leaves are turning colors, the pumpkins are out, pumpkin spice stuff is everywhere. Halloween, Thanksgiving. The mornings are nice and crisp and cool. It's about 48 degrees. I was wondering if I get some pushback on that. But I was wondering if I get any pushback on that. But yeah, it's understandable. I mean, down here, of course, everybody, just about everybody and their mama loves summertime. So it's understandable. All of my family is more summer than I am. Trust me, in the summertime, if I don't have to be outside, I'm usually glued to an air conditioner if I can be. Um, but yeah, fall's number 1 for me. Beautiful time of year. Leaves are turning colors. The mornings are crisp and cool. The days are not hot. It's just a great time, man. My favorite season of the year. Okay, so we're gonna close. Guys, thank y'all for checking me out. Thank you for those of you who tuned in and viewed the show. Thank you for the love. I greatly appreciate y'all. And Andrew, again, thank you, buddy. Thank you for having me. We will do an episode sometime next week. I'm not 100% sure yet. It's going to depend on my work schedule. I work a night job, so I'm actually running on just a couple hours of sleep. But the good thing is I'm off tonight and tomorrow night, so I got a couple nights off. Like, thank you, Jesus. But yeah. So we'll do a show next week and we'll discuss some things. I'm going to get the format together here soon, and then I'll get Andrew to kind of give y'all some ideas. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you all have a wonderful Easter weekend. It's been Holy Week. We celebrate the resurrection of Jesus when he came out of the tomb. If you don't know him, please, I hope you get to know him. He is amazing. His love is amazing. I am very thankful to have a Lord and Savior like him. He has picked me up numerous times when I've been down. So, and one thing I did not tell Andrew, I'm going to end the show. I'm going to end each one of these shows with a Bible verse. So, just to give you a verse as we get out of here. Um, let's see. My app's being slow. Here we go. Okay. We're going to close with John 16, verse 20. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that ye shall weep and lament, but the world shall rejoice, and ye shall be sorrowful, but your sorrow shall be turned into joy. Man. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much again. I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there, and God bless.